Welcome to the SCORE webinar designed to explore the process of hiring a professional web developer. This is the second in our Do-It-Yourself webinar series. My name is Virgil Dismeyer, and I am a SCORE business counselor in the Minneapolis chapter. I will be the moderator. First, some housekeeping rules. We will mute all of your phones, and we will take your questions at the end. If you have a question during the presentation, type it into the chat window so that we can pick them up for the question and answer series. Since I do not know this topic, we will have only one presenter today. Our presenter today is Angie Bonner from Veritas Marketing, and she will introduce herself.
Thank you, Virgil. I am Angie Bonner, an account executive at Veritas Marketing. Veritas Marketing was founded in 2001 and is an integrated business-to-business marketing and advertising agency with extensive experience in website development and online marketing strategies. Taking this webinar should have been preceded by the self-learning list posted on the SCORE Minnesota website. It may be helpful to review the first webinar in this series entitled Build Your Own Website. We will be building on that knowledge. Some of you may have even tried to build a template-based website. eBusinessNow.org provides insightful key background learning to understanding websites, including the guide on choosing a web development team. Take the time to view this site. This webinar is broken into several parts. We will be covering the reasons why you may want to hire a professional, some of the key terms you will encounter and their meaning, what work you need to prepare for a developer to understand your needs, how to find developers to fulfill your requirements, how to evaluate potential developers, what details should be covered in the contract, and what to do with all of this information. While everyone has their own reason for hiring a professional, here's a list of some common reasons. There's an old adage, do what you do best and hire the rest. Not everyone is a copywriter, and while you may know what you'd like to see when you see it, you may not be a designer. Or you may feel that you don't have the technical experience or aptitude, desire, or time needed to build a website. Perhaps your needs may be more complex than what you can do using a website template builder tool. Or, because of your business type and competitors, you may require a higher level image, design, or sales message to position your company properly. Search engine optimization is very important to the success of a website and a company. It is important that your website be constructed to the highest search engine optimization standards. Selecting a domain name is one of the most important initial decisions. Selecting the right domain name can improve your chances of being found on the search engines. Keep it short, descriptive, and avoid hyphens. .com is a desirable extension, but many others are available. You may want to purchase more than one and select a primary web address for marketing your company. The learning list referenced earlier provides a great article discussing this topic. You may even want to do a little research of your own on GoDaddy.com, NetworkSolutions.com, or another domain name provider. When you do purchase a web address, be sure you keep the ownership, link, and username and password in a safe place where you can find it when renewals are needed. Web hosting is where your website lives. In this case, a web server. It is similar to a computer hard drive that has been configured for secure access over the Internet. Good hosting companies take security very seriously. Ask your web developer or hosting company's security protocols. If the web developer offers hosting services, be sure to require FTP login information in case you want to move it to a different provider in the future. Smartphones, such as iPhone, Android, or BlackBerry, used to visit websites continues to grow. The screens on smartphones are traditionally small and vertical. A mobile-friendly website makes it easier for them to review your content on their mobile device. Some may suggest a separate and potentially smaller mobile website. Others may recommend programming that will recognize and adapt your website for the device being used to visit the website. Consider your needs for the future. Will your customers be accessing your website from a mobile device? There are many platforms available for building a website. When you are reviewing website developers, inquire about the strengths and weaknesses of the platform they recommend for your website. Some popular and easy-to-use platforms can be hacked if regular updates and security measures aren't implemented. Regardless of the platform, discuss regular service updates and responsibilities with the vendor candidates. Databases. While many websites are built using MySQL, SQL, or other databases, these types of websites may also be referred to as dynamic websites. Web page content from a database is fed dynamically to a page template in the blink of an eye. Websites with a great deal of content, multiple languages, or e-commerce functionality may require a database construction. Not all animation is created equal. iPhones, iPads, and other mobile devices cannot view Flash or videos saved as SWF files. Because of the trend for smartphone usage, hiring a developer that will recommend another option is a really smart way to go. Load time is also very important with all animations and images. Nobody wants to wait around for an image, animation, or video to load before they can get to their desired content. A good web developer knows how to optimize images and graphics for speedy load times. If you require an e-commerce website, you may encounter terms like payment gateway, merchant account, and SSL certificate. A payment gateway allows you to securely accept online payments via credit card or e-check. Popular payment gateways include Authorize.net, Payment Gateway, SecurePay, and others. A merchant account is a bank account that processes credit card payments. SSL, or Secure Socket Layer, is a protocol for transmitting private documents and payments securely via the Internet. Content management systems, or CMS, are administration tools that allow website owners or authorized individuals to easily update their own content, including text or images or something else. This reduces the reliance on the developer to make routine changes. If your website will be larger or have frequent changes, it's a good idea to request this as an optional feature. Last, but certainly not least, is search engine optimization, or SEO. SEO is the process of getting a website to communicate better with search engines such as Google, Bing, and Yahoo. The words used in your content on your web pages, the title for each page, and other tactics are important parts of search engine optimization. Information regarding SEO is provided in the learning list mentioned on slide 2. There will also be another webinar in this series that reviews this topic. The website developer you hire should be able to provide you with a list of SEO tactics they will utilize. To help determine your needs in preparation for requesting estimates from professionals, it's important to first do your homework. Visit your competitors' websites. Put together a comparison spreadsheet. How long have they been in business? What does their logo look like? What is their tagline? What services or products do they provide? What information do they include on their website? What are their overall and individual products or services? And what are their selling messages? Do they look expensive and easy to work with? Or do they look like a low-cost provider with low-quality products or services? How will you differentiate your company and products from them? Having a good understanding of who your customers are and what matters to them helps you develop better sales messages. Put a target audience profile together. Who are your prospects that are most likely to buy? In other words, your lowest hanging fruit. What industries are they in? How do they perceive the products currently on the market? Government websites provide excellent statistics on specific industries. Associations and publications often have research available that may be helpful. Call a few prospects or current customers and ask them questions. Price is usually not a top reason to buy. Quality, service, knowledge, excellent customer service, those are a few examples of attributes that might be desirable to your buyers. The more you know, the better marketer you'll be. Don't assume you already know what they want. It's likely you'll be surprised. This work is something your developer will rely on when he or she develops your website. A developer has to know what you're trying to accomplish. What action do you want the website visitor to take? For example, if you have a construction company, your website will provide examples of your work, and a prospective customer will call or email you for a proposal on what they need. Therefore, you don't need e-commerce capabilities. What are your objectives? The simplest is to provide a digital business card or brochure online. Do you sell a product or service online? Well, then e-commerce is necessary. Is your objective to support the sales process for your product or service? Then you may require manuals, how-to guides, and those kinds of things. Are you educating your target audience? Perhaps you're requesting donations. Whatever your objective, differentiate your company from your competitors. Develop an outline of the content that you want to include on your website. All websites start with a homepage. What other content do you need? Products or services, resources, technical information, requests for estimate forms, contact us, news feeds, what else? The professionals you get proposals from will likely make additional recommendations. Your website should have continuity with your existing marketing materials. Sometimes the website is a chance to develop a new look that will be implemented on all your other materials. Either way, you should provide examples and graphics to your website developer. The bigger the better. They can always make it smaller, but they can't make it bigger. Make a list of words and phrases that potential customers may use to find your website. If you require copywriting services or if you plan to write copy yourself, these keywords and phrases should be in your copy. Page titles and page descriptions to improve your website's ability to be found on search engines like Google and Bing. Another part of writing copy is developing key messages to differentiate your company from the competition. Think like your target market, not how you see yourself. While your web developer will have suggestions for graphics and images, you will need to provide your logo and any other graphics or photographs that you may already have. Do you need someone to take additional photographs? Whatever images and graphics are used on your website, make sure you have the right to use them. We discussed mobile-friendly websites earlier. Often special programming can be used so that the website knows when someone is using a mobile device. That special programming formats pages for better viewing and easier navigation on a smaller screen. You may want an abbreviated version of your website developed for mobile device visitors. Because of the popularity of smartphones, this should be a topic for anyone building or changing a website. Get separate costs for any services associated with this. It may be wise to make it a part of Phase 2 of your website development. Does your website need any special features or programming, such as forms, polls, or links to social media? How will future maintenance and updates be done? If your website will change frequently, request an estimate on a content management system, CMS. Be sure to ask for a demo of the one that your vendor recommends. Content management systems are easy to use and may save you money in the long term. Many content management systems work similar to Microsoft Word and are intuitive to use. A special web address, username, and password is provided to access the CMS. If you'll have more than one person making changes to the website, you may want to request a setup for other users. Some also offer levels for each user type. An administrator can make changes to everything in the CMS. A standard user may only be able to change certain areas. Ask the web developer candidates about web hosting. Will you have the ability to move your website to a different web hosting company in the future? Will it be billed to you directly? How much will it be per year to host your website? Do email addresses come with this hosting package? If the web developer plans to host the website, request FTP access, username, and password, just in case you decide to move it elsewhere in the future. Your contract should spell out the website and code portability. Establish a budget. The budget is so important to a small business. Every need comes with a price. The range in developer skills, experience, and prices can be confusing. A recent technical school graduate, your relative that dabbles in web design, or an out-of-country provider may be a good deal. Ask yourself if it is really a good deal for you. On the other end, a large web development firm may be more than you need. It is important to weigh complexity, skill level, experience, and timing with cost. If you need a larger website, consider setting priorities and getting estimates based on project phases. Phase 1 may be the base website. Phase 2 adds e-commerce features, mobile devices, and so on. Depending on the experience of your vendor, a simple website developed by a small vendor, freelancer, or out-of-country provider may cost between $500 and $3,000. A website that has more content and special features that is developed by a small or medium-sized web development firm may cost between $4,000 and $7,500. An e-commerce website could range from $4,000 to $20,000 based on the size and number of products and product attributes. Large, database-driven websites with several special features and a content management system to allow you to make future changes and updates may cost between $7,500 and $20,000, depending on the experience level of the provider and the complexity of the website. There are several online calculators available that can provide you with a rough idea of what your website might cost. DesignQuote.net is one example. These may also give you an idea of phases to a project. Because every website is different, we recommend that you get proposals from at least 3 vendors so you can weigh your options. We have mentioned ongoing maintenance and updates previously. These are very important considerations during your budgeting and selection process. All websites should change regularly. Search engines like fresh, new content and content-rich websites receive more popularity. What content do you see changing? Do you introduce new products, prices, or features on a regular basis? What content do you want to add at a later date? Will you have a lot of regular changes or quarterly changes? To accommodate these changes, you may want to request a content management tool with your website. Be sure that the solution your vendor is proposing will meet your long-range goals for adding content as well as updating existing content. Keep in mind that making changes using a content management tool will require time from you or someone on your staff. If the content management tool doesn't allow you to add content, what will the cost be from the developer for various changes? Provide some examples. If you don't want a content management tool right away, it can be added later, and what would the cost be? If there will not be a content management solution, how are changes and additions handled? If they are charged on an hourly basis, what is the hourly rate? While it may be difficult to predict your future needs, providing examples and getting costs for changes or additions you want to make in the future seems smart. Well, now that you've done your homework and established your requirements, you need to find a vendor. As mentioned in the previous slide, all web developers have different skill levels, expertise, and cost structures. For these reasons, you should consider evaluating at least 3 vendors. The best way to find a good vendor is through your personal network. Ask people you know who they use or who they know that provides web development services. If you belong to a professional association, ask the members who they have used. When in doubt, do an internet search. There are several online directories with web development providers. Do you prefer face-to-face meetings? If yes, you should look for a local vendor option. The first step is to review the potential websites of the candidates. Does their website look professional? Is it easy to navigate? Once you've narrowed it down, call each one for a telephone interview. Ask about their related experience, years in business, and knowledge of search engine optimization. If the vendor is local, schedule an interview in person. You may provide confidential information during an interview. Request that the vendor sign a confidentiality agreement. Review their previous work or portfolio. Have they worked on similar websites to the one you're looking for? Do they have experience in your industry? How long has the company been in business? What platforms do they use? What platform do they suggest based on your requirements, and why? How many employees do they have? Do they provide all the services you require in-house? Are these services completed in-house or do they outsource? Outsourcing is not uncommon, but know who you're working with. Who will your daily contact be? This team may include a project manager, copywriter, graphic designer, programmer, and more. What is their process? Do they provide 2 to 3 concepts? Do they only give you one layout? How do they establish review points? How long will it take them to develop your website? What would a schedule look like, and what are your responsibilities? Can the website be easily moved to a different web hosting company or developer? What is the process to move to a new host or developer? Ask about ownership of files and technology. How do they approach search engine optimization or SEO? What is their experience with Google Analytics and other website statistics software? Do they have experience with social media, pay-per-click or AdWords, and internet marketing? While these things are not crucial to building a website, it may be useful to have a web developer with skills in these areas. There are webinars in the series that cover these tactics in more detail. If a candidate seems to be a potential option for your project, request an estimate. Provide them with the information you have uncovered during your research, along with your content outline and any other special requirements. During the estimating process, they may have questions or suggestions. Do your best to keep the information with various vendor options the same, and take note where good recommendations come from. After the estimates are in, compare the proposals. Create some document or comparative spreadsheet of features so you can visually compare the strengths, weaknesses of each. Did they meet the proposal deadline? It may be challenging to figure out if everything is apples to apples. If you see some oranges, call back and ask questions. Be sure to also get a preliminary schedule to complete the project. Confirm what they expect you to provide and what they will provide and when. Once you determine who you would prefer to work with, get 3 references and check them. If everything is all systems go, get the details in writing. If the selected vendor has a contract or agreement, consider having an attorney review it. Be sure that there is a detailed description of the project scope. What are they providing? What aren't they providing? How are alterations and additions handled? Do they require written approval from you before making alterations or additions that are outside the scope of their original estimate? Does this contract include a confidentiality agreement? Who has ownership of files and technology? This is important for future portability of your website. What are the usage rights for any of the images they may provide? What are the payment terms? Half upfront, half on completion, progressive billing with 30-day terms, or something different? Once the details are established in writing, both parties should sign the contract. And that's just the start. Now the work begins. If the costs exceed your capacity at the moment, then reassess your needs and put them in a priority order. Maybe you can negotiate some acceptable payment options with the developer. When you prioritize, then the option of doing the website in stages becomes apparent as a real solution. You can arrange for the developer to do your maintenance upgrades until you're in a position to add a CMS capability. Depending on your objectives for the website, e-commerce may be deferred. Since this webinar is part of a series, maybe you overlooked an option by the website tool provider that could be exploited. Don't underestimate the time and skill level even a website tool builder requires. Some template providers offer staff on a fee basis to undertake complex upgrades. Investigate using the same criteria you use for hiring a professional developer. What is your decision? We hope this discussion will help you reach the right decision for you and your business. Thank you for listening. If you have questions during your process of finding, selecting, and hiring a professional, contact your local SCORE chapter mentor. Here is a link to the Minnesota SCORE organization. If you are not in Minnesota, the main SCORE website can help you find a chapter in your area. We have a few minutes now and would like to answer some viewer questions.
Well, Angie, that was very interesting. As I mentioned, I did not know the topic, so it was interesting to me also. But we have some questions that have been submitted over the chat, and the first one is, what if I don't know what I need?
That's a good question. You should write down everything that you can provide and ask your various candidates for additional recommendations. When you're reviewing their proposals, you'll need to weigh the services that they're providing by the cost and what fits your needs best.
Well, this is a question I, as a SCORE counselor, get often. What if I have difficulty finding vendor candidates?
Well, your SCORE mentor is a really great place to start. While SCORE can't really recommend or endorse a specific candidate, they can point you in the right direction in your area.
Well, you talked about a lot of legal terms as you went through the presentation, and this question addresses that. Do you have an example contract or confidentiality agreement?
No, each vendor relationship and their requirements are unique. If you need, talk with a legal professional. If you have other contracts like space, equipment, or if you outsource payroll or accounting, use the same context for entering into a legal agreement with a website developer as you would for something like that.
Okay, Angie, we got two more here.
Okay.
What if the referrals provided by the first choice candidate do not call you back? How do you check references?
Well, your vendor candidate should have connected with each of those referrals prior to sending you their information. Some business professionals prefer email, so maybe try to request an email address from the vendor and put your question in writing. If they are out of the office, that way you'll likely get an out-of-office notification in your email. If you're still not getting any response, consider asking for additional references or maybe even rethink your first choice candidate.
Okay. Now, what if I, the client, start the project and decide that we didn't make the right choice, that we didn't hire the right firm? Do we need to start over?
You can always stop the project, pay for the work that they've completed, and move the work to a different service provider. Depending on the issues that you're having with the first vendor, some of the work may need to be revisited when you move it.
Okay, Angie, I think that's probably all the questions that we can take, but I'd like to refer back to the slide that she has on your monitor at the moment. Besides going to your local SCORE chapter or a national chapter, we're providing a dedicated email for questions that they may not be able to answer. And it's on your screen. Just make sure that you include your zip code and a specific question. And while we are not web designers in the SCORE office, we'll try to get an answer back to you using that email address that you see on the screen. As usual on a presentation like this, we have some disclaimers. And the first one is that the contents of this presentation are strictly for the training of you, our clients. And Angie mentioned it earlier, SCORE Minnesota, nor any of its chapters, does not endorse any vendors. And the screen prints that you have seen throughout this presentation are for illustration only. Other services may have similar things to offer, and their screen prints will be a little different. And finally, we cannot end up without giving credit to those people who have made this presentation possible. Funding was provided by SPEDCO, to whom we are very indebted. Educational information is provided by eBusiness Now, which is funded by the SCORE Foundation. And of course, Veritas Marketing. They have been giving us technical advice as we go through these series, but in this case, they were the topic resource for the webinar itself. Well, we thank you for your attention, and please visit the SCORE Min website and look for other webinars in this series, as well as other educational tools offered by SCORE. As Angie said, we hope this has been a help as you proceed along the path of developing a website. Good luck and goodbye.
Thank you. Please stand.